very good morning once again, and if you're joining us, if you're just joining us, we are, this is Metropole Business Center. My name is Nina Shaban, and we are at the time, or rather, at this juncture, we want to kick off with our interview. And our topic of the day, we are going to be discussing the Building Bridges Initiative. And in studio with us is Waweru, who is the co-chair of the BBI Secretariat. A very good morning to you, Mheshimiwa.
Morning.
All right, I'd like us to just get into it, Mheshimiwa. How were the 5.2 million signatures achieved?
Well, of course, before I get to that, I think it's important for me to explain and to give the background of why BBI. You know, we have been having a cycle of 5 years instability. Every 5 years, we are talking about reconciliation, we are talking about uniting Kenyans, and that is what has brought about this BBI. In 1992, 1997, 2007, 2013, and 2017, in all those cycles, we have had instability after elections. So we felt it's important to stabilize the country politically and to be able to mitigate against this kind of instability. So that we don't get worried. We don't have a cycle where we are always worried about what will happen. What will happen in every 5 years? What will happen? You remember the other day we had 2017. We had some 2 regions. We had Kenya. Some other guys were calling themselves People's Republic of Kenya. Yes. And I think it's important for us not to forget history and where we are coming from, so that we can be able to understand why BBI. And if you don't appreciate why we BBI, then you cannot be able to accept the proposal that we are putting on the table. If you look at even the economic cycle, in every 5 years, Nina, and I'm happy I'm talking to someone who understands business. In every 5 years, our economy expands by 6 to 7% for 2 years. 2 to 3 years. Yes. 2 years in a cycle of 5, it dips to 3%. So we are losing 3% and a momentum of getting to 10% in every 5 years. That effectively means in every 1 financial year in 5 years, we are losing approximately 240 billion shillings. So if you now multiply that by 5 years, means in every 5-year cycle, we are losing 1 trillion shillings potential growth of GDP. And that is what I want Kenyans to focus on, and not more on small things that I'm seeing people focusing on. We look at the bigger picture. We also need this economy to be able to reach a GDP expansion of 10%.
How is the BBI going to fix that measure?
Of course, we are going to reduce the political risk to almost minimum. It doesn't matter who wins.
All right.
Yeah, like for example, we have had, if you look at some economies like Italy, you can't even know who is the prime minister. Business continues. Look at economies look at Tanzania. It doesn't bring instability because every 5 years there is certainty. And this is what we need as a country to do and to work on, and not to focus on personalities and individuals and political interests. The bigger picture is we need to stabilize this country and bring the political risk to nil.
All right, and Mheshimiwa, before we now go back to the 5.2 million signatures, because you've already now created a momentum for the interview.
Because I want Kenyans to focus, to focus on the real issues, and not to look at propaganda.
All right.
Because I think many Kenyans have been misled.
Okay, so Mheshimiwa, then what do you have to say in response to the critics who say that the BBI referendum push is ill-timed in view of the COVID-19? I mean, the country and the whole world is still fighting a pandemic, so why now?
Well, why not now? It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that because there's COVID, that life has to stop. It has to continue. Americans held elections recently. There was COVID. In fact, it's even much more in US than it's in Kenya. We cannot stop planning forward. Tanzanians the other day come here, just here next door. They conducted elections last month. Was there no COVID? There was COVID. Our army, they are buying ammunition, for example. Do they stop because there is COVID? Life has to continue.
But Mheshimiwa, COVID has also
we are
brought
even saying at a certain point we will have to take our children back to school, even when there is COVID. Yeah, because life has to continue, and we cannot stop everything because there is COVID. And we are not saying that we don't recognize the challenges that we are facing, but we are saying we can be able to, even in the midst of the crisis that we are going through, we can be able to carry forward with our life without, of course, compromising the health of our people. But we cannot say, for example, and it's good for you to remember, when we started BBI, there was no COVID. COVID came and found BBI process ongoing.
It's very true, Mheshimiwa. Now, if we were to look at it from another angle, when we started BBI, yes, there was no COVID.
There was no COVID.
There was no COVID, and now COVID has
when we did BBI 1,
it has affected the country's economy.
What we should be saying, we continue doing other stuff that we have been doing safely within the Ministry of Health protocol. But we cannot say that we are going to stop everything. In fact, if I was the one advising, genuine advice should be, let's do everything that needs to be done within the Ministry of Health protocol. Not to say stop. And we know those guys are not genuine, because they are saying that there's COVID, but they are campaigning against BBI when they also COVID.
And with that said, Mheshimiwa, what are your thoughts on the Deputy President's proposal to have the referendum and elections held at the same time to save on costs?
Well, you see, we are trying to address a political issue. One of the things that we are trying to sort is that 2022. Yeah, in that we cannot do this concurrently with 2022, because we need to have sorted that before, so that by 2022 we do not worry who gets or who doesn't, who wins and who doesn't win. So we cannot wait for 2022 when in the actual sense what we want to cure is the electoral risk that we always have in every 5 years. So we need to sort it earlier than 2022, right?
All right, and there is a concern that the proposed changes to the executive and the legislature will heap a big cost burden on to the taxpayer.
Well, the truth of the matter is, and I like that question. If you look at the numbers that are there currently, if you look at 249 members of parliament, you put together with the senators, we have 68 senators, yes. 249 members of parliament, 349, 68 senators, plus 22 ministers, plus 30 CASs is actually more than what is being proposed. Yeah? If you look at that, I don't have a calculator, and compared to 360 plus 94 is actually much less, because remember, a member of parliament is, the ministers will be members of parliament. So by taking members of parliament to be ministers, we are saving 22 positions. When you are taking ministers, assistant ministers, from members of parliament, you are saving another 30 CASs. So in the actual sense, you are saving 30 CAS, and you are saving approximately 70 to 80% of 22 ministers. Right? Are we together?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we are also not going to have nominated members of parliament, which were 12. Yeah? So in the net position of all these, Nina, and I want to talk, and I want to tell Kenyans the truth. If you look at the position and do the mathematics here, we are actually better off with a new system. Remember, we are also not going to have ministers who are from outside. We are going to have ministers who are members of parliament who are not getting a higher salary. They are only going to get the salary as members of parliament, right? Again, if you look at the prime minister, is going to be a member of parliament. If you look at the deputy prime minister, we also be a member of parliament with no extra cost, right? If you look at the prime minister, will be the work of the majority leader in parliament, right? Combined with what Matiang'i is doing currently. So we are actually going to need to save one position. But you see now, the problem with Kenyans is they listen to the wrong people. They listen to the propaganda. They are poisoned. But if you look at it critically, we are actually going to be better off in terms of the structure than we are currently.
And how does...
Fact.
Okay, and how does the referendum, the BBI referendum bill answer?
Are you satisfied about the executive? Because
highly.
that is a very, very controversial issue.
Highly.
I know Kenyans have been misled in believing that it's bloated. It's actually less. We are actually better off in terms of legislature. We are better off in terms of the executive. We are actually going to save more than 10 positions.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for more clarification, Mheshimiwa, how does the BBI referendum bill answer the gender parity that is in the legislature?
Well, first of all, it's good for me to clarify that gender parity is on the parliament. There's a distinction between parliament and National Assembly. National Assembly is part of parliament. Parliament is the Senate and the parliament.
Yes.
So when you are discussing gender parity, you need to consider the numbers in both houses. So what has been done is these women were representing a county. In fact, they should not have been in the National Assembly in the first place because they're representing a county. For example, Esther Passaris campaigned the entire of Nairobi. Taking her to National Assembly, and she campaigned the entire county is not fair. And so they're thinking of taking them to the Senate, I think is welcome because they're representing a Senate. They're not representing a constituency. Number two, when you're doing the numbers, we already have half. We already have 47 women now, automatically in the National Assembly, in the Senate. What we are saying is now the onus will be on the parties to ensure that their party list on the nomination is 30% women to save us from nominating more women. Yeah, and that's something that we need to register even in Parliament. Today, we should actually come up with an independent standalone legislature to ensure that party list is 30% gender compliant.
All right.
Yeah? So we are already gaining 47 women. We are going to push that to the parties, and hopefully in another few years we should be able to get even 50-50.
It's a wait and see.
Yeah.
Mheshimiwa, let's go back to our first question. Where I was asking, how are you able to, or rather, how were the 5.2 million signatures achieved? What was the strategy deployed to attain the number of signatures?
As a chairman, I can tell you, we sat and we had a strategy, and I appointed in the 14 regions. We divided this country into 14 regions. We had Western Kenya, we had Rift Valley, upper and lower Rift Valley. We had Central Kenya, we had Mount Kenya East, we had Coast, we had Tana River region, that is in the Coast region. We had Northeastern, we had Turukana, we had Kisii region. There were 14 regions, which I had 14 coordinators. And that also cascaded also to the 210 constituencies. I had coordinators in the entire country. I had 290 coordinators who helped me, and I also had a coordinator in each and every ward in Kenya. And this is the network that I used, and I gave them targets, and I was able to correct 5.2 million signatures and still counting. In fact, I might hit 6 million because I'm still receiving returns from the counties and the constituencies. So it was pretty easy exercise. I got a lot of support from Wananchi. I want to thank each and every Kenyan who voted, and we want to assure them that we are going to ensure that we push this bill so that we can be able to get the new referendum. We are also going now to the next level. We are trying to process the document this whole week.
And then that was my second question to you, actually.
And maybe in another week, in another 2-3 days, we should be done. And me and Junet Mohammed, we are the promoters of the bill. We should be able to present the bill to IBC together with the entire 5.2 million signatures. Maybe in another 2, 3, 4 days, we should be able to do that. Maybe Thursday, latest Monday, we should be able to present to IBC.
Okay, so when are we likely to hold a referendum?
Well, going by the schedule that we have, we are looking at after IBC approval, when we have a bill, then we are going to send it to the county assemblies. Hopefully we should be able to get the 24 counties maybe in January. By January we should be able to get more than 24 counties, and after that then we can go to the National Assembly and the Senate. So hopefully, latest by April, we should have BBI referendum.
And is there room for further amendments in?
We are voting on a bill, Nina.
It's a yes or
We've already voted.
no.
We already have 5.2 million signatures. And the signatures were appended on the basis of a bill.
So there's no chance of amendment?
Yeah, you can express your view now on the referendum, unfortunately.
And lastly?
Yeah, because now you cannot, this is the popular version of the referendum. And we have already corrected 5.2 million signatures on a bill. And so there is no chance that we can be able now to go back and tell people we corrected signature on this bill. Now we are changing the bill, the one you signed for. You can imagine yourself if you signed for the bill and then someone is taking the same bill and amending.
So it is a yes or no fair?
It's not fair. It's not fair. So this conversation, all that you are hearing, Nina, and it's good for me to tell the viewers, it's just meant to derail. There is no amendment that they are interested in. The agenda is simply to derail and to ensure that it doesn't go through.
Lastly,
yes, Nina.
How will the process, the BBI process, guarantee a violence-free general election in 2022?
Well, you can't say 100%, but what I can assure you is that, of course, Kenyans are going to feel more included in government. They are going to feel more valued, and politicians will not be feeling like all is lost after they've not made it to a political position. So in the proposals of BBI, we are also looking at how, for example, the person who loses in the presidential can also become member of parliament, can also have some activity they can be able to undertake. Leader of opposition is there, so that we can have an inclusive. Life is not over after you don't make it to be a president. You have another chance. So we should not have a situation where it's do or die. Yeah? We want to ensure that even if you don't make it, you still have another chance. And you also have an opportunity to be able to contribute in the political process of this country going forward.
All right.
Yeah?
Well, thank you very much, unless you have something to add.
So have you signed?
Thank you very much. We can discuss this after the show. We are running out of time, unfortunately.
Yeah. So let's focus. My closing remark is maybe we need to focus more on the bigger picture. We get rid of personalities in this process. We focus on the right things for the country. Number two, we separate the BBI and 2022. If you separate BBI and 2022, all these politics will go. Because 2022 will come and go.
Is it possible to separate BBI from 2022?
You need to, because this is a different process. Once we are done with the referendum, then we can discuss 2022. That is something that we need to tell Kenyans. Please, let's separate the two. Finally, we ensure that we don't put personalities in this process. Yeah? We remove the personalities, we think about Kenya, we think about this country, we think about our youth, we think about our businesses, we think about our violence in 2022. So we focus on the right things, and I'm sure we are going to get somewhere.
All right.
And we are going to make this country great.
Fantastic. That was Dennis Waweru, the co-chair of the BBI Secretariat at the Building Bridges Initiative Secretariat, with 5.2 million signatures garnered. Let's just wait and see.
That's confidence enough from Kenyans.
And he says maybe by April 2021 we shall be having the referendum.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much for keeping it Metropole TV. This is Metropole Business Center. My name is Nina Shaban. Please do enjoy the rest of your day.